Welcome back to the Congruent Chronicler. My name is David. Pleased to see you all again. Today we are going to take a break from Warhammer and discuss All for One from My Hero Academia and the Dark Triad. So why I'm doing this is because I was supposed to do the Warhammer videos. I know, I'm taking a slight break from that because I've been watching the new season and I was reading a book on narcissism. This book here, really interesting. And I started looking up narcissism because I thought that really applied to the character All for One. But it turns out I was missing something pretty obvious, and that's what we're here to talk about, which is the Dark Triad. What is the Dark Triad? The Dark Triad is three personality types that overlap with each other. You've got Machiavellianism, psychopathy, and narcissism. All of which are, well, if you haven't seen All for One in My Hero Academia, yeah, he definitely has all three of those, and that's what we're here to talk about right now. Is All for One. All for One is the overarching villain of My Hero Academia, and I suspect also its spin-off series, My Hero Vigilantes. As a baby, he was born to a mother who was a sex worker and homeless, and I suspect also had drug issues, which may also lead to the reason why his brain has developed differently. I am not an expert in that, I will not get into it, but I'll put some resources below. Anyway, so his power is to absorb powers from other people, so he absorbed his mother's power, and he kept absorbing until she died. He had zero control over his powers. I'm guessing that's why, and also in her state, it was not the best state. He pretty much raised him and his brother by himself. That isn't explained, but he was born a lot more developed than most children are. That is said within the series. Now, why is this important? Because in some cases of children being born where their mothers die, they can develop some very negative traits. Well, actually, in most cases they do. But these ones in particular are the ones that apply to him. And he has a high sense of pride in himself in that he survived something that she didn't. He is disenfranchised. And he definitely has issues with attachment. There's a lot more to that. But, again, not an expert in this sort of stuff. That I hope to be someday, but this isn't it. All for One eventually rose to be Japan's #1 villain. He was the Demon Lord, and he was scary. Eventually he's taken down by the mentor for the main character of the series, All Might, and it leaves him broken and deformed, and bitter and angry. And this is where we're going to talk about the Dark Triad. Those of the Dark Triad are very adept at hiding their nature, and that could be the sheer charm of being a narcissist or just psychopaths. They are very good at it. That's what they do. They learn to mask. And the easiest way to find out if someone is in the Dark Triad is look at their lack of empathy, or bullying is also a quite common trait among them. First up, let's look at narcissism. He goes by the name the Demon Lord, for Christ's sake. That is a narcissistic name if I've ever seen one. The way he dresses is always well dressed in this suit. When his face is deformed, he puts a mask on because he doesn't want people to see how he is. As I said earlier, he took pride in surviving this birth, and he thinks he is unique, even though, again, he's a twin. His brother survived as well. His brother survived on less than he did. And that probably annoys him to some extent. We never really get evidence of it because he's funny with his brother. In fact, that comes in later on with his attachment issues in particular, where he doesn't love his brother, but only he was allowed to keep his brother. The best way I can describe him is he takes everything he wants because it's his by right of conquest. That's how he sees himself. And narcissists are very difficult to deal with. I know from my own personal experience. I'll maybe make a video on that one someday. Now let's have a quick look at psychopathy. Growing up, I had the idea Norman Bates dressed his mother killing people. That is not psychopathy. I don't know what the hell we want to describe that one as so easily. Psychopathy is a lot more complicated than that. It isn't always violent. Sometimes it's just controlling. Like how many members of Wall Street or something like that was supposed to be psychopaths. But let's not digress. At his core, he is a selfish prick with a private army and zero empathy. Yeah, that's a psychopath right there. No normal person needs that. If you need proof of his callous nature, just look at Tomura. This is the boy he raised to become a man. And he has zero care for him. He just wants to take his body as his own because he sees it as his right. Again, ties in with the narcissism. There is an overlap there. But for any normal person, if you raise someone from a child to an adult, you form some bond with him. He has zero. He doesn't care about him at all. Psychopaths are also very impulsive. Now, I would say as you get older, you probably get better control in your impulsive nature. But when you look at All for One in his young body, you see how impulsive he is. He puts everything on the line to stop and kill All Might. It doesn't even kill him, he tortures him for fun. He takes great pain in being the bully who gets to torture the man who hurt him. It also ties in with the narcissism because he wants to scar his face the way his face was scarred. But my point is, he has a very limited amount of time to survive. He needs to get to Shigaraki very quickly in this situation, and he stops everything to go after All Might. And yes, All Might mentions that is because he is in a younger body, but also psychopaths do not have that level of control. If he is giving into his impulses, there it is, right there. And again, for that, when you see flashbacks of what he's like when he's younger, he does kill people like that, does not care. Pure psychopath behavior. Finally, there's Machiavellianism, just the manipulative qualities of people. And that often is in reference to the prince, which I think a lot of people misunderstand, including whoever coined this term, in my opinion. Because the prince, if read straight, is how to be a negative ruler, but it also is read on how to be a good ruler. Coincidentally, I do not think that All for One is ever going to be a good ruler. And if you want to look at his ability to manipulate people, well, he infiltrates an organization and takes it over without really ever being there. He manipulates all of the Tartarus prison to fight for him. He does have an army. But more importantly, I think if you look at Spinner, you see a great example. He's a character who had nothing going for him. Even his ability isn't that amazing. He's just lizard-like. All for One convinces him to be his right hand almost, to be his sword of vengeance. And he gives him a power that makes him monstrous, but he makes him feel special. And that can also be narcissism. They do that too. Narcissists are very good at manipulating you, making you feel like you're number one and you're special. But so is someone with Machiavellianism tendencies. They do it even better. So that's like, I'm going to put this, Machiavellianism squared, I'm going to guess. But he takes this man who actually isn't that bad a guy compared to a lot of the other villains, and he harnesses him and he focuses him and he turns him into an absolute monster. That's manipulation at its finest. And if you've ever been manipulated by someone and you end up acting against your own basic nature, you know what it's like. it can be easily done, but usually you kind of catch on with yourself. Spinner does not catch on with himself. I'll just finish this by saying I actually love him as a villain because he is such a bastard. He is a horrible person and he's pure evil. But he's also a complete bully, which is part of these traits. We know about that. And at the end of the day, the best bit about it is he's reduced to being a crying little baby when he's taken down. And that just shows at the end of the day, he's nothing. He's a coward who has to steal everything. And the best bit about it is these were all his choices. There is another world where he may not have been as bad. And the question is now, the psychopathy, is that something that we're born with? Because it looks like that is something that you are born with. The other two you develop. And you look at his brother, who had even less than him, but his brother turned out to be such a good person, and he's sort of the inspiration of why I'm doing this and why I grabbed this book on handling a narcissist. Need to double check the title of that. But yeah, I'm hopefully going to do a follow-up on this at some point about his brother Yorichi. But in the meanwhile, please like and subscribe. I hope these videos are entertaining to you, and if there's any other characters from fiction that you want to cover, please comment below and I will get around to it when I can. Until next time guys, I'm David and this is the Congruent Chronicler.